I love to see these different things that Black families are doing. And it's just like exciting to see that, okay, there's different people out here doing different things, meeting different people. And I don't know if you felt the same way. I mean, you guys, must have loved it because, it was your decision, and you were able to do it for quite a while. Yeah.
No, definitely. I know when we first got into it, it was my idea. My husband will say it was my idea.
Hmm.
He wasn't even thinking about that. But we were a little nervous in the beginning. But I don't believe in allowing fear to hold you back from anything. But we were a bit fearful of what could happen because you hear so many stories. Just real quick, I remember one time when we were rolling through Mobile, Alabama, and I literally called family and was like, if you don't hear from me, we were in Mobile and I had ideas like we about to be strung up from some like I really thought that. Like I was worried.
Like watching Lovecraft Country, like we can't go these roads at night.
We really thought that that's how it was going to be. But then when we got there, that was not our experience at all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Improper Mimi. It is I, your host, Mimi Jax, and I am so glad to be back here with everybody. I hope you guys are excited as I am for our guest today. I'm going to let her introduce herself, so take it away.
I'm Asha Mae, and I am a mother, wife, singer songwriter, jewelry maker. I used to be a full time RVer. Now things have taken a turn, and we're part time.
Oh,
So after
okay.
traveling for 4 years, being on the road, we've decided
Mhm.
to get a home base.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And what does that mean for you guys? Like what kind of change does that mean to your lifestyle of deciding and having a home base?
It was a tough decision, first of all.
Mm, mm-hmm.
We all really enjoy the freedom that comes along with RVing. So, stationary life was not something like a decision that we went into really lightly. We sort of are just kind of following where the universe guides us. And it guided us to Phoenix, Arizona, one of the most unlikely places. I never thought that I was going to be choosing this place. In fact, I didn't even like it. Um,
Uh-huh.
so, I mean, I liked it to visit, but I didn't like staying here. But so many opportunities have opened up. We've made so many connections with people that we've just we decided it was wise to make this our home base. But we still plan on traveling every month, maybe spending 1 or 2 weeks out and then 2 weeks in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So kind of like a hybrid, like even how people are
exactly.
returning to office life, hybrid.
Exactly. Because I make
Yeah.
earrings now, and that wasn't something that I
Mm-hmm.
did prior to getting into RV life. I started doing that when we were stationary in Phoenix because I had surgery. Um, and then once we got into this, I was like, ain't no way I'm gonna be making up no earrings in the RV. No way. No way. I have a friend that's done it, but I was like, there's not
Uh-huh.
enough room.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
not buying another RV. And that's that. 'Cause, if you were to look around,
Yeah.
usually this counter back here is completely covered in earrings. I have a table over here that's completely covered in earrings. There's no room in the RV for all of
Right.
that. So we
Oh
just,
my goodness.
yeah. So we were just like, you know what? I can come back here once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and just
Stock
make,
up
and
and
then
do it.
hit the road and do whatever it is that we want to do.
Well, that's a big decision. Congrats. Congratulations to the whole family.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, our son,
Yeah.
he's done so well. He's 11 years old. And for an 11-year-old, essentially an only child, because I have an older son as well, but there's such a huge age gap between the two. For him to be on the road for that long without any siblings or anything. He did great. He's a very personable person and meets people along the way. But it was like, okay, he's making friends here. The homeschool community is really large here. We see a certain need here. So let's just stick around.
Some families, they don't even make it past 1 year of like RV lifestyle, and you guys did it for 4 years. So that is also like, that's a big accomplishment too.
It really wasn't a matter of we're tired of this. Let's go back. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
literally
Hmm.
because we had so many opportunities that opened up. And otherwise, we would have been right back in the RV. We had plans to come here for me to have surgery. And then as soon as we were done, get out of here.
You're going to be out.
Yeah, we were going to be out. But God had other plans for us. So, we're here. And the thing about the lifestyle that we live is that there's a lot of room in there for flexibility. So let's just say we decided a year from now, Phoenix isn't really the place. Let's go over here. We could do that. Or let's jump back in the RV and just hit the road. We could do that too.
I love that. Yeah. Because I think that was one thing that I thought was so like interesting and empowering too, is that you really control kind of like where you go, when you go, like when you're living in that lifestyle. Like, is there anything you're going to miss about it of being full time?
The flexibility financially. So before we made a decision about where we were going to be from month to month. Let's say you were to fall on hard, or we were to fall on hard times. Luckily we didn't really have that happen during that time, but we could turn around and say, you know what? We're out of here. We can't stay at this park anymore. We can't afford it. We don't have to worry about our credit being ruined. We don't have to worry about paying any fees to back out of a lease. We don't have to worry about getting rid of our things. It's literally unplug and deuces.
Yeah.
That's literally what it came. That's what it came down to. It's like, all right, we're out of here,
Yeah.
and we've done that.
Yeah.
Not, like I said, not because of finances,
Uh-huh.
but because we just said, you know what, let's go here for a while. We'll tell them we're leaving at the end of the month, and that's the end of it. Whereas I'll be honest with you, signing up for this year lease here for
Woo.
me was like, oh, that's a
That
commitment. I was
accomplishment.
like, that's a commitment. I don't know if I want that commitment. What if 6 months in I'm ready to go? Like that's what you
Yeah.
get used to, not having to worry about things like that. I would say we did some vending, going to finances. Of course we have this apartment here, but we went to do some vending in California, thinking that, we would do well in California, but it turns out that we didn't do as well as in California as we do in Phoenix. So, because we didn't make what we thought we were going to make, we spent a great deal of money in gas going back and forth. There were places where we paid vendor fees and really didn't make very much money, if any money at all. You know what we said? We're going to sleep in this Lowe's parking lot. And that's exactly, or we're going to, there's a nice dog park in the city that we were staying in. And we stayed outside, outside of the dog park on the street. Very safe area. I didn't feel threatened at all. My husband's there. He's security. Our dog is there. He's security. It was fine because of the flexibility. We have all the comforts of our home. It is our home. It was our home for so long. We have our kitchen. We cooked our meals. We have our bathroom. We have our bedrooms. We have everything that we need. So it became, all right, do we want to spend this $40 to $100 a night on a space, or do we want to just sort of, park out in the parking lot for a little while? And we were able to do that. Whereas if we didn't have the RV, it would have been a major loss because we would have been paying to stay in hotels. All of that really does add up.
And I don't think that people realize the costs, associated, or even the different costs associated with living in an RV. Because you may just think, oh, it's you just pick up and go, but you still have what, like propane and park fees, like you mentioned. Like some people may not even think about that. Be like, what? We gotta pay park fees?
You have so many fees. I mean, we really lucked up because when we got our RV, it was before the pandemic. And
Okay.
while
Before that mad dash of everybody wanting
exactly,
one.
everybody
Yeah.
running out and getting them. So, at one point, RVs depreciated just like cars did as soon as you drive them off the lot. But because of the demand, our RV actually has appreciated in value, which is really nice. But if you have people who, let's say, just purchased after the pandemic and they get the fancy fifth wheel, those are the ones that you pull behind and attach. We have a motorized RV. But let's say you got that fifth wheel. A lot of times people think, oh, okay, I'm going to get this fifth wheel. It's so nice. You don't think about non sexy things like towing capacity. You don't think about whether it's all terrain or this or that. So a lot of times people don't even realize that after you have the cost of getting that RV, you need to get yourself a $70,000 truck to pull it,
To pull it.
to
Right.
pull it. So
Mhm.
I have
Mhm.
friends who pay $700 a month for their truck payment in addition to their payment on their RV. And then depending on where you are around this country, yes, it can be inexpensive, but let's say you're staying in California where we've stayed for 13 months, but let's say you're staying in California and it costs $2,400 a month for you to park your RV. And like you said, that's not even including propane. That's not even including any type of maintenance costs. All those things. We had an issue where our hot water tank went. Those things you can't just get them replaced immediately. So a lot of times people think, oh, I remember when I was telling my employer, oh, I'm staying in an RV now. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry.
What?
But it's okay. And he kept on referring to, and there's
Uh-huh.
nothing wrong with this, but he kept referring to, the
Mhm.
RV as the trailer and the trailer park and,
Right.
this and that, which, like I said, again, nothing wrong with that. But I
Yeah.
think what he associated that with was like low cost. We're staying at like, no, honey, like this thing can cost you 3, 4 G's a month. Don't think that these people in these RVs are not spending some serious bank, especially when you have a nice one, like, a really recent model. It costs. And then not to mention the fact of gas. When we first started on the East Coast, because we purchased ours in Virginia, it cost us $87 to fill up the tank. On the West Coast, now, 4 years later, it costs us $250 to fill up the tank.
That's crazy. That's almost three and a half times as much.
Girl.
And here I am, like, I don't even have a car in New York, but when I did have a car, when I did drive in New York, I was always thinking about other costs, insurance, parking tickets was one of my budgeted things because I just knew
You, yeah.
I was going to get a parking ticket all the time because there's nowhere to park. I'm just going to leave it right here, catch me if you can kind of thing. But yeah, there's like all these costs associated with it. So I haven't even really seen any, like shows that talk about van life or living, off the grid or anything like that. But my friends talk about it. I mean, my family would camp, when we were kids. We grew up in Ohio. So that
Okay.
was, something that
Mhm.
we were, kind of used to. But I guess ever since I've been on the East Coast, like Boston, New York, I think I've been to a campground maybe once or twice,
Yeah.
probably supervising some Girl Scouts and then just hanging out with friends, like from a ski lodge, or we're just like
Mhm.
hanging out like in a cabin or something. I love to see these different things that Black families are doing. And it's just like exciting to see that, okay, there's different people out here doing different things, meeting different people. And I don't know if you felt the same way. I mean, you guys, must have loved it because, it was your decision, and you were able to do it for quite a while. Yeah.
No, definitely. I know when we first got into it, it was my idea. My husband will say it was my idea.
Hmm.
He wasn't even thinking about that. But we were a little nervous in the beginning. But I don't believe in allowing fear to hold you back from anything. But we were a bit fearful of what could happen because you hear so many stories. Just real quick, I remember one time when we were rolling through Mobile, Alabama, and I literally called family and was like, if you don't hear from me, we were in Mobile, and I had ideas like we about to be strung up from some like I really thought that. Like I was worried.
Like watching Lovecraft Country, like we can't go these roads at night.
We really thought that that's how it was going to be. But then when we got there, that was not our experience at all. We actually had a
Oh
very
no.
positive experience when we stayed there. It's not necessarily someplace I would live just because I like to be in a larger city, but we had a really positive experience. So I think that was the biggest thing when we were first getting into it. It was like, oh, it's scary, like we don't know. You hear so many horrible things on the news, and they happen. But I find that of all the people we had many more positive encounters with people than we had negative. And honestly, when I say negative, we really haven't had any. The most, if anything, maybe an annoyance. That's the worst. There's
Mm,
somebody
hmm.
coming up to me and just saying, "I
That's
believe
good.
all lives matter." Well, that's what's up. Good. Feel how you
I'm
want to
like,
feel. I
thank
really don't
you.
care. I didn't ask you about what your thoughts were, and I wasn't interested in them anyway. So, that's
Yeah.
literally the worst thing that's ever happened. Everything else
Oh,
has been
that's
positive.
comforting to know.
It really is. It really
Yeah.
is because and we were
Yeah.
expecting the worst, and knock
Yeah.
on wood,
And yeah,
we haven't seen the worst.
that's good. I mean, because that's how I would envision, like, same as you, like, what's gonna happen is gonna happen. God will protect me. He'll like get
Hmm.
everybody back who like does me wrong and everything. So I don't have a fear
Yeah,
of, I wouldn't let my fear like hold
hold
me
you back.
back from doing something. Sometimes I just like suck it up and jump in. But I, I remember my dad rode his bicycle from Gary, Indiana to Boston, Massachusetts. And I was afraid. I was like, well, where are you going to sleep? You're going to just sleep on the side of the road? Like, he's like, oh, there's fire stations, there's, churches, people, help each other. And I'm like, how do you know this? But like you say, like he had way more positive experiences because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, black man out on the country roads
On
of
a
the
bike.
United States coming across, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, maybe we should drive behind him. And they're like, he's gonna be fine. I'm like, okay, all right. And I'm like, okay. But oh, good. I mean, because yeah, you would think with as much that happens in the media and as much as going on all over the country that you might run into more trouble than you have. So that's really good to hear. It's been such a great experience, and not too much like serious issues or anything like that. So I love it. I love it. I might have to give it a try myself. Starting off small, like a week or two.
Right? No, let's not go too far.
Right. I'm not going to even pretend like lifestyle is a real thing and I'm thinking vacation. So I know there's a lot that goes into it, and I barely want to plan a vacation.
Right.
I went hiking with my daughter, and she was like, "I don't think you prepared for this at all." She's like, "I was like, what? You just show up, you follow the map. What's the worst that could happen?" And it was getting late, it was getting dark, and we were like, "Oh, we got to get out of here." So there's a lot that you have to plan to go into any of this type
Hmm.
of stuff.
Hmm. We boondocked in two places. Ansberega Desert. It's the desert. It's BLM land. That's Bureau of Land Management, where you can stay for free. It's just government land, but there's nothing there. So don't expect any lights. Don't expect any running water. Don't expect anything like that. You're just there. And then another time when we stayed near Joshua Tree in California, again on BLM land, and I don't know if you remember like the old movie Blair Witch Project. I've never watched the movie, but I just remember seeing seeing the previews and everything. And that's literally how it was. It was just us pulling out into the darkness, like pulling into in the middle of the desert. Again, I was thinking, are they gonna bury our bodies out here and take the RV? But And my husband's
Right.
out there with the flashlight, serious face, like not even happy, just like, oh, where we going, whatever. But
Ooh,
we
yeah.
made it, we made
Ugh,
it. And it was one of
yes.
those things though, where we didn't plan for that. We didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Yeah, it was funny.
Now these are definitely memories your son is not gonna forget.
Not gonna forget. Or sorry, last one. With the one time when
Uh-huh.
our RV actually was overheating, so we couldn't go any further
Uh-huh.
because we could damage the engine, and it was on a
Oh,
weekend, on a Sunday actually specifically, so we couldn't see a mechanic right away. So we pulled into a
oh,
parking lot in Northern California, well, close to near Northern California, and
yeah.
parked, and we're sleeping. My son is in the bedroom with me. My husband's in the living room on security duty.
Mhm.
And this guy comes up to the window and says, "Got any crystal meth?"
No, sir, we do not.
But he's like, serious, he's like, "Guy in crystal," like right in the door, like, and it's like 12 o'clock at night. We're in bed. It's like,
Oh,
it's so quiet. And we're
no.
just like, what? Where are we? What is going on?
Like,
My
that is not
husband,
a cup of sugar. You don't just go around asking any old little neighbor.
but my husband, he had to get
Oh.
hood real quick because he said, "No, we ain't got no crystal." Like his whole tone, everything. "No, we ain't got no crystal meth." And then the guy, I think he was more scared than what. So he left and went away. But
That's right. Shoot, get out of here. Oh, no. Oh my goodness, that sounds, oh, just adventurous,
yes,
like
and those are just a
stories for
handful of
days.
the stories. Like you said, stories for days. It's like,
Oh my gosh. Uh, a lot of times on the podcast, I'll talk about, like the villages we have, like, women and our relationships, either with other women or just even different circles like of support. And so now, as you're transitioning from mobile life to stationary, like, do you have that village, or how are you envisioning, having that support system around you in this new city, kind of new city?
kind of new city. I definitely, I've made a lot of connections with people, and I do find that we're getting to be a part of that village, a part of that community. I'm feeling a sense of community that I haven't felt in the last 4 years. I have met a lot of women, and honestly, the thing that's helped me the most with meeting people, and the reason why I decided that I liked it here, was because I was vending so much. So I made a lot of contacts and met a lot of people through vending, that now it's like we're texting like, "Hey, or someone's like, "Oh, you want to come out and perform here?" Because I'm a music artist too. So like, "You want to come out and perform here?" And we're like, "Well, we don't have a sitter." That's what happens when you go someplace and you don't have family. And they're like, "Well, I know this person who has this service." And it's like, "Oh, wow, we can do things like this again." So it's been nice to connect with people, specifically women, on that.
Mhm.
And we're always trying to be politically correct here, but Black women, we're going to be
This
specific.
is improper, Mimi,
I know,
so
I'm so
you
used
don't
to
have
having it.
to.
I'm trying to,
You can say whatever you want to say.
but no, it's nice to be able to connect with Black women, especially
Hmm.
when you come from a place like the East Coast. I come from Philly.
Yeah,
I met you in Phoenix. You probably saw.
yeah.
Not too many sprinkles,
Uh,
just a little sprinkle of pepper here and there. It's not a whole lot of pepper. You
exactly.
know, um, I come from a city where it's 45% Black.
Right.
So I'm
Hmm.
used to
With it
seeing,
regular.
it's like it's
Yeah.
nothing. It's like, oh, I see my people
Mhm.
everywhere. When you
Yeah.
go from that to coming to the West
Mhm.
Coast, where in most places you're only making up anywhere from 6 to 9% of the population.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
not only that, if can I be blunt?
Absolutely.
Okay. The mentality. And I don't want to offend
Mm.
people because I don't want to offend my people here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very different culture here than it is on the East Coast. Take like natural hair, right? It's something that's starting to be embraced, where that's something that was embraced in a place like New
A
York or
long time
Philly
ago.
for a while. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
there's less of a need to assimilate into a culture that's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily ours when you're in a place like a Philadelphia or a New York. You know, like when you're there you can do that,
Right.
but here I found that, especially with people who have been here for a long time, as opposed to people who just recently, the influx of people moving over here from these other cities like a Chicago, a Philly, a New York, like
Yeah.
Detroit, those places. But the people who have been here for a while, there's not really a lot of community. And there's not really an embrace of you. Like I might see somebody, at the supermarket and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, a fellow, sister. So I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not even like, hey, because I'm just like, hello, and
Yeah.
I smile, and they're like avoiding eye contact with me. Or maybe even
Wow.
giving me the
Yeah.
stank face, like I don't want to be associated with you because there's that
Mm-hmm.
need
Mm-hmm.
to not, I guess, to fit in with everybody else. And so
So
that was
they're so
something.
used to that.
Yeah, and I get
Mm-hmm.
it. It's survival, right? So I'm sure that what a place like Phoenix, looked like in the 1980s is very different than what it's like now. So, I get it. That's what people had to do in order to have employment, in order to have any type of success and things like that. They probably feel like that's what they had to do. So I understand, and I'm not passing any judgment or anything like that. But like I said, coming from a place like the East Coast and then coming over here was a major culture shock for
It's a
us.
culture shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a culture
Yeah.
shock. It's funny, I have an older
Mm-hmm.
son, he's 25,
Yeah.
and when he came here, we would say, "Oh, it's black people over here, black people over there." He said, everything with y'all is about race." He said, "Oh, y'all are racist." He said, "Everything about you with you all is race, 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 race." So anyway, he stayed with us
Yeah.
for about 6 months, and he was working. He got a job, and after a while,
Mm.
it was like, "Oh, this black person over here, this, or this black person over there, that," because he got to see what it was like. I said, in Philadelphia, or even when we lived in Florida, we lived in South Florida near Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale. We're there, but here you don't see that. Or like I said,
Right.
you have that camaraderie, that sameness, that oneness with people. Whereas here, a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
the natives reject that. So for him, he was like, "Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they acting funny," But I've met some really great people.
Yeah.
All that
And
being
it's
said,
often the people that make a big difference.
yeah, it really does, and like me,
Uh-huh.
with the hair, I walk around with all the audacity in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna be, this is, but it is what it is, and you have to sort of meet people where they are, and in my opinion, exhibit some type of empathy to understand that, everybody's not going to be at the same place that you're at that time. Maybe later on they'll come and meet you. Maybe they'll never meet you at all. Maybe they'll meet you next lifetime. That's their thing. It's their business, their issue, not ours. So part of the reason why we decided that we wanted to stick around here was because we saw a huge need for community, especially with the homeschool community for Black people. Our son has his own business. He's 11 years old and he's got this business, The Cool Homeschooler. So a lot of times people come to us and like to discuss homeschooling. A lot of times we have Black people to come to us and they want to discuss homeschooling. They might, maybe they're in it already. Maybe they have questions. They're afraid of getting involved in the different homeschool co-ops and everything because they don't really see children that look like theirs. So we're really interested in starting something like that so that our people know that there's a space for them.
That is interesting because you're right. There's not a lot, or that I see, that I know of a lot of like Black families that do homeschooling or that there's a network or resources out there readily available for a lot of people. Everything that empowers, I constantly am saying empowering Black women, and I say at home, work, and play, because we wear so many different hats, whether it's at home taking care of the family, taking care of home, and literally, like, just setting everything up and making things run smoothly for the family, or at work where there may be lots of expectations on you and you're trying to hold it together, and sometimes imposter syndrome may come in, or mental health or something
Oof.
like that. So there's like, right, exactly. And then we cannot forget the play, so the play is just as important. And whether it's improper play, or whether it's book club play, or whether it's just sitting down and doing nothing, and that is enjoyable to you, these are all different parts of our lives that it does help to have that community. It does help to have someone to talk to about it, to remind us to take time for ourselves, to give ourselves grace, to forgive whatever it is that we did. Maybe we were working too much and we weren't home enough, or maybe we were just so focused on home and didn't, help take care of other things. But yeah, that's really commendable of recognizing the need for that community. And I'm just excited for you guys, because I mean, like, that's lots of information we could share with people too. Even your son's business, the homeschooling, community, the beautiful jewelry that we're wearing. Okay. And then when you may be performing and singing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
there's
a
just
lot.
so many.
I'm almost thinking to myself
Yeah.
like, oh my God, how, like, what don't I do? This is crazy. This is
Uh-huh.
crazy. But
Yeah.
it's this lifestyle has allowed me to reimagine what life looks like, or what it looked like, and to learn that I can create the life that I want. I don't have to follow a playbook. And just like with the whole RVing thing, I can pivot at any moment, and that's okay. The plan changes. That's the way it is. We only get one shot at life, so might as well just live it. A lot of
Live
times
it
we
and
don't do
enjoy
it.
it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Seriously, so
Yeah.
many people. I see so many people who don't enjoy it, and that's heartbreaking to me. And
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Because
Like
we're
you
only
said,
here for a,
you're only here
yeah.
for a short time, and it's not to say that it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Like all
Mm-hmm.
those things that you discuss. You just said. You know, uh, with the imposter syndrome and the whole, I had to go through
Yeah.
this whole period. It was like, who am I? What is going on? I've been trying to fit into this box for
Yeah.
30, 40 years of being who everybody else says I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, who who am I? Who am I? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know who I am,
Right.
and I had to really, do I really like this? Do I like,
Mm-hmm.
do I like this, or do I like this because everybody tells me I'm supposed to like this? You know,
Right. Like, this is what people expect of you. Like, exactly. Who is to say what is proper and what is improper? Like, there's so many rules that society makes, and yes, we are here for a limited amount of time, so let's be free, be safe, be educated, know what's going on around
yeah,
us,
definitely.
because like you say, when your husband went out there with that flashlight, I was like, yeah, we need to do some surveillance and make sure we know what's going on around us, then we can relax and be carefree.
Right, right.
Well, I had a really good time chatting today.
I feel like we just scratched the surface because I had such a great time talking to you. But
Yeah.
no, there's just, I don't really have too much more. Just really, just choose, you live the life you want to live, and we as Black
Mhm.
women, I'm sorry, we are the bomb. Okay, I'm gonna give us our flowers right now. I
There you
mean,
go. There you go.
we do everything. So
Mhm.
if we can do everything for everybody else, we
That's
can do
right.
everything for us.
And don't feel guilty about it either. It's okay to do stuff for ourselves.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Seriously, I had an issue with that for so long. where I just,
Mhm.
we're taught we're supposed to be selfless, selfless,
Mhm.
humble, and I am still,
Mhm.
I try to be humble, so I even have
Yeah.
trouble with promoting myself or with giving myself the credit that I deserve, really, because we're just
Right.
taught to dim that light a little. You don't want to
Mhm.
impose, you don't want anybody else to feel any kind of way. So, just do your thing quietly over here. And,
Yeah.
but we can't. We deserve so much more. We give so
Yeah.
much. We deserve so
Exactly.
much more.
Don't feel bad about stepping up on that little pedestal and patting yourself on the back because yeah, you have done this. You have achieved the things you have done. And people will say that, oh, I don't really do anything. I don't know what to talk about. Or and I say, I used to think the same thing, about being a single mom, raising my daughter, going to school, working, and then doing volunteer things for other organizations, and then starting a podcast and everything. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Actually,
That was a
I'm
lot.
good at what I
You
do.
literally just
Right.
went down the like, but I did this, and that, but I don't got nothing to talk about. I don't have any.
Nothing to talk about. It's just a regular day. You just got to do what you got to do by any means necessary. I don't want to step on anybody else's toes. But no, there is plenty of room for all of us.
Right.
All of us can shine,
Absolutely.
and it's not just shining, but helping each other. So I just love it. It all comes back. And I am going to give you that platform to promote yourself. So, how can people find you? Like, what is the best way to get in touch with you if someone is looking for, you know, all kind of things?
I am everywhere. I am literally on all platforms under so many different
Hmm.
names. On, on Instagram, you can find me for my music, Asha underscore
Hmm.
May underscore sings. For my jewelry, you can find me at Asha underscore May underscore Clays. Um, I am actually launching my website for my
Okay.
jewelry in a few weeks. So I'll have my
Hmm.
very first launch. And
Nice.
I'm really excited about that. Just really I've been doing a lot of connecting with the community and vending over the last
Mm.
5 months or so. Now we're about to take this thing online in addition to
Oh,
that,
wow.
and really
Yeah.
just get that online presence. And it's exciting. As far as the music,
Yeah.
I am currently working on an EP, halfway
Ooh, look
done. Actually, I take that back.
at
We are now 66% of the way done. So I just
Beautiful.
have a few
Yeah.
songs to finish up, and that's going to be
Mhm.
released in a few months. You feel free to go to
Okay.
asiamay.com. That's where you can
Mhm.
get any updates on my music as well as download all of my previously released music for free. And that's about it. I mean, like I said, I'm all over. My music can be found on every platform, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere. That's about my son, sorry, his business.
That's right. We're gonna have his business too.
He's the cool homeschooler, so he's
Okay.
online, thecoolhomeschooler.com, and also on Instagram at the cool homeschooler. um
Oh,
there's a
beautiful.
lot going on. We're a family that stays very, very, very busy. I'm a mama that stays very, very, very busy. There is a
That's
YouTube
right.
channel as well, Asha May. That's pretty simple.
Cool.
ASHA May. But yeah, I'm out here. If you Google
Yeah.
me, that's one thing I can say. I'm Googleable now. So
That's right. Go on the interwebs and you can
right,
find HMA.
you gonna find me. I'm Googleable. Definitely out here, and I have some really big
Oh,
things
good.
planned for later this year.
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it. I mean, definitely follow Aisha May. Make sure that you keep in touch. Find her on aishamay.com so you can keep in touch and know those things that are going to be going on throughout the year. And Aisha May, it was so great chatting with you. I'm so glad we met. We met in Phoenix, like you said, and everyone can see. Well, when if they're watching the YouTube video, then they can see our beautiful jewelry that you made, which kind of just really drew us together. and then the conversation just going from there. So
Yes, it was so
thank
wonderful
you so
meeting
much.
you. So great. And that's the thing, getting out there in a community, being out there. I mean, I've met more people in the last 5 months than I have in the last 4 years. So
Oh,
it's
that was so
amazing and
great.
wonderful people
Yeah.
too. So this has really
Yes.
been an awesome opportunity. I have enjoyed myself immensely. Um,
Yeah.
and I just wish you all the success in the world on this platform of yours.